Ladies and gentlemen, this story comes out of New Jersey, and there are levels to being dumb, and you just can't be this level of dumb. With this story, it's going to have some details that are probably going to shock you to the core, no pun intended, but my opinion might also bother you as well. So that's your disclaimer if you need to exit the video. But these two fools, these three piggies, these three individual human beings that you see on my screen, and I use that term loosely, human. Three New Jersey women allegedly punished a 13-year-old girl by forcing her to wear an electric shock dog collar to discipline the child. This is just a level of stupidity I just have not heard of. Beginning when she was 9 years old. Wow. 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 years? Three big old women have been bullying this baby since she was 9 years old, 4 straight years. Well, I'm thankful she survived. So this story is actually positive because she survived. But let me get the three little pigs back up on the screen. Let me get these piggies back up here, because these women look like they have never missed a meal, even in the afterlife. Kelly, 43 years old, Rachel, 20 years old, and Rebecca Menning, 18 years old. Menning is spelled Nennig. I'm assuming they all have the same last name. They were all arrested on March the 1st. This was 30 days ago, and were charged with child abuse for allegedly torturing the young teen by forcing her to wear the dog collar and zapping her when she was bad. Here's the part why I always clown big people who are obese and overweight. Here's why. They also are accused of starving the girl and forcing her to shoplift for the women. I could almost guarantee you they had her shoplifting probably at grocery stores, stealing hams and pork chops and shrimp and steaks and lobsters and all kind of other fattening things. Can we get our pig emojis in the chat? Thank you so much. Get our 3 piggy emojis in the chat. Don't feel bad, because these individuals, they clearly know the value of sustenance. They have not missed a meal. They wouldn't miss a snack. They probably snack in the middle of sleeping. They're just widening all outside. I guarantee you they can't fit no regular size car. They need them big wide seat SUVs. These some big girls. And I clown them because they are starving children. Everybody understand, right? Children can't speak for themselves, nor defend themselves, nor feed themselves. They cannot work for themselves in order to provide sustenance, which is something that everybody needs. So I find it highly egregious, flat out disgusting, when people who are clearly eating 2 to 3 plates after they should be done, starving somebody else. Flat out ridiculous. According to an arrest affidavit released by the Camden County prosecutor, the 13-year-old, whom they only identified with the initials ID, said that Rachel Menning first put the dog collar around her neck when she was 9 years old in the 4th grade. Prosecutors asked that the relationship between the women not be disclosed to protect the identity, and we'll respect that because she's alive, she survived. I'll respect that. The abuse was discovered when the girl fled to the neighbor's house by the name of Karen Villick. The Daily, and this is coming from dailymail.com, so thank you for the article. The Daily Beast reported and knocked on the door begging for help. Let's keep going. My doorbell was ringing frantically, and I opened the door, and she says, "Help me, help me, help me, help me. They're shocking me." And because I was confused, I'm seeing the dog collar, and she's putting it in my hand. And I said, is your dog lost? And she goes, no, they're shocking me. And then she shows her the marks on her neck where they were electrocuting her. Villick told the news channel that the dog collar was still vibrating in her hand. Oh. The girl ran away and the dog collar was still vibrating in her hand, so they were actively still trying to shock her with it. The neighbor called police and the girl was taken to the Jefferson Hospital for evaluation. Police said the marks from the shock collar were visible on the child's neck. Rachel Minning put the dog collar around her neck and shocked her multiple times and has done this in the past, according to Stratford police. The other women, Kelly and Rebecca Minning, also allegedly put the dog collar around her neck as a form of punishment and forced her to shoplift for them. They also starved the girl, depriving her of the appropriate amounts of food and clothing amenities. I can imagine her getting starved to death, Villick told NBC News, but all the other people are overweight in the house. So how do you like that? I'm glad that people are finally starting to step out, speak up, and say something. Because that is a clear indication. That is a clear contradiction. It's like, what do you call that? The irony. The irony is so thick there, and I use that loosely as well. Rachel Minning, of course, she denied the abuse, but another person living in the household corroborated the girl's account, according to police. The Minnings face charges of aggravated assault, child abuse, and neglect and are being held at the Camden County Jail. Lawyers for the women could not immediately be located. The 13-year-old, meanwhile, was put in the care of a local foster family. Villick told the Daily Beast that the girl went to school on Monday, and I was happy to hear that, she said, calling the family trash. We all feel bad. Nobody in the neighborhood knew about this. Everybody has secrets, and kids are really good at keeping secrets because they are afraid. Let me make sure I got everything, and I think that's everything. I'm going to give you guys the fair usage. It's just a couple of news videos. Here we go. Let's get it. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And I know we do a lot of these stories, but I want you guys to remember, I have no lack of these stories. These stories keep piling up and piling up and piling up. And I want you to ask yourself, how is this continuing to just be an increase? It gets more and more on a daily basis. We got to start calling this out. You see something, say something, report it, get these people arrested. By the way, hit that thumbs up. It'll share this video and more people can join in and help spread this news. Okay, here we go. Let's get it.
In other news tonight, in South Jersey, 3 women are facing charges for a disturbing crime. Police say they used an electric shock collar on a 13-year-old girl in their home. Action News reporter Trish Hartman is live outside of the Stratford Police Department tonight with the full story. Trish.
Rick, this story is just heartbreaking. Authorities say a 13-year-old girl was abused and neglected and accused the suspects of forcing her to wear a shock collar meant for a dog around her neck. Karen Villick says it was Tuesday afternoon when she heard her doorbell ring repeatedly.
I open the door and she hands me this dog collar and I go, "Is your dog loose?" She said, "No, they shocked me," and she put up her neck and I saw the 2 marks from the dog collar.
Karen says she brought her inside her home in the 100 block of Harvard Avenue in Stratford. She tried to comfort the 13-year-old while her husband called 911.
I was horrified. My husband and I haven't been able to sleep for days on end. You know, what can we do for this poor little girl?
Police say the girl was taken to Jefferson Hospital in Stratford for treatment, and the Division of Child Protection and Permanency removed her from the home. The next day, authorities arrested arrested Kelly, Rebecca, and Rachel Menig and charged them with aggravated assault, child abuse, and neglect, alleging they forced the girl to wear the shock collar and deprived her of necessary amounts of food and clothing. While the three women denied the abuse when interviewed by detectives, police say another resident of the Menig home told them the dog collar was forced on the girl as punishment when she was, quote, bad. Karen says she suspected the home was an unpleasant environment, but never imagined this.
You can hear it in the winter through the windows, always yelling and fighting.
And those three suspects are still locked up in a Camden County Correctional Facility tonight. Reporting live in Stratford, New Jersey, Trish Hart.
Well, Tracy, they are. Good afternoon. That neighbor says she was just grateful that she was home at the time and she was able to get police to respond within about 5 minutes or so that afternoon. She says the young girl was screaming and crying and saying that she wasn't lying. She has photos of this abuse, photos that prove that she had an electric shock dog collar placed around her neck. She went on to tell police that this abuse has been happening for years.
I just can't wrap my brain around, a dog collar is your dog lost. That's all I could come up with. And when she said she was getting shocked, that was it.
Complete surprise. That's how Karen Valek felt when a 13-year-old neighbor arrived on her doorstep last week. It was the middle of the day.
My doorbell's ringing frantically, and I open the door, and it says, help me, help me, help me. They're shocking me. And because I'm confused, I'm seeing the dog collar. She's putting it in my hand, and I said, is your dog lost? And she goes, no, they're shocking me. Shows the marks on her neck.
Valek says that dog collar was still buzzing in her own hands.
I couldn't fathom, who puts a dog collar, first of all, who puts it on their dog, let alone on a child.
The Valeks dialed 911.
The police came in. She was taken to a pediatric hospital to be checked out. She was never returned to the house, and she's now in a foster care somewhere in Stratford.
The next day, police charged 3 of the girl's relatives with aggravated assault, child neglect, and endangerment.
She was skinny as a rail.
According to these criminal complaints, the girl was also deprived of suitable clothing and not given enough food.
I can imagine her getting starved to death, but all the other people are overweight in the house. So
I wish I could clap. I gotta do a little patty clap because my hand is still pretty messed up. Maybe I can give her the Arsenio Hall. She said exactly what I said. She said it's crazy how all 3 of these fat little piggies. Can y'all put y'all 3 pig emojis? Just copy and paste that pig. I need to see each person post the pig emoji 3 times. 3 piggies. Can y'all put the pig emoji in the chat? These fat hogs. How they all big and huge and they're starving a defenseless girl.
And not given enough food.
I can imagine her getting starved to death, but all the other people are overweight in the house.
And not given enough food.
I can imagine her getting starved to death, but all the other people are overweight in the house. So how do you like that?
For the girl's protection, We Are Not was also deprived of suitable clothing and not given enough food.
This is what I love when we start to keep it real in defense of our children. I love the fact that she said that. I love it. I gotta hear it again. I'm sorry, but I'm a DJ, so I gotta bring it back. I gotta bring it back. I gotta bring it back.
I can imagine her getting starved to death, but all the other people are overweight in the house. So how do you like that?
For the girl's protection, we are not identifying her family members. Meantime, Karen Valek and her family haven't been able to get it out of their minds.
For days on end, still can't sleep. This is all we're thinking about.
She's just praying for justice.
Personally, have I ever been shocked by a dog collar? No. But
I would hope not, ma'am.
I hope the judge that decides to do this tries it.
Now, Valek tells me that she's been interviewed both by police here in Stratford and also New Jersey's Division of Children and Families.
Did everybody post y'all pig emojis? I think everybody did.
that she recently learned that the young teenage girl is feeling better, that she's also been taken shopping to get some clothing, and also attended school yesterday. That hearing for the 3 women who have been arrested and charged happens on Friday morning in Camden County. Reporting live in Stratford tonight, I'm Sydney Long, NBC 10 News.
And again, this is not me just poking fun at big people for no reason. Even the lady that saved this girl saw something, said something. She came and asked for help, and this lady stood up and did the right thing. That you see how big these women is. They ain't missed a meal. Their body fat to what do they call it? Like the body fat ratio is off the charts. The majority of them is just flubber. The majority of their body is just straight up just gelatin. Never missed a meal, but you're going to starve somebody. That's wrong. And they've been doing this since she was 9 years old. I'm going to go out on a limb, depending on when that girl was actually in their custody and what the connection is. Are they the parents? We don't know how this girl ended up with them. But this is clearly a horrible place. And you'd have to ask yourself, how do you end up with 3 bad little piggies? Not 1, not 2, but all 3 of them, and they're all old enough and grown enough and big enough. And they all chose violence. They all deserve the same equal sentence. And if you ask me, for attempted murder, for shocking a child with a dog collar for 4 years, for mistreating her and hurting her emotionally and all of that stuff, I'd say, 4 years in prison. How about that? 4 to 5 years in prison. I think they need hard time, and they also need to be fed some of them prison dinners. Feed them once a day and feed them prison dinners, and I think they'll be good with that. 4 to 5 years, I think that would be suitable. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to put a prayer hands up in the chat for that girl. The fact that she survived, she was strong enough, and she was brave enough to run away and ask for help, and somebody came to her rescue. So we're thankful for that. So if somebody comes to you, ask for help, you get on that phone with 911, give those kids help, because you might be their last resort. Because this could have ended up a lot worse. This girl could have ended up being murdered. They could have sat on her. Believe it or not, that might sound like a joke, but we've actually had children that have died, that I've done stories on, that have actually been sat on by people that are overweight and actually died. That's actually a real thing that's happened multiple times. But nonetheless, so prayer hands up to that girl. I say give them 5 years in prison. Let me know how many years you think they should get in prison. Thank you. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. Thank you.